Good morning, UUSS. We're so glad you're here, whether you're in person or on Zoom. If you would join us in singing number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song. Verse 3 will be on the slides. Verse 4 will be the verse 3 in the hymnal if you are following along. Momentarily. My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth, it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? I lift my eyes, the clouds grow thin. I see the blue above it, and day by day the pathway smooths, since first I learned to love it. A heavenly peace restores my soul, a fountain ever springing. All things are mine since I am loved. How can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon file, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
Good morning. You made it. Yes, you made it past the gauntlet. I am so happy to see all of your wonderful shining faces this morning. Welcome to our Sunday service, our sacred time of worship together. I'm the Reverend Lucy Bunch. Karen Sparrow is serving as our worship associate today, and our intern minister, Rosemary Dodd, is preaching. Her sermon is titled Loneliness, Solitude, and Friendship. Hi, Ralph. Not yet. You shall. Actually, it's going to be quite a while. You could go. So I want to introduce you to Ralph Hughes, the director of the Sacramento Master Singers. Whether you're here in person or participating online, we are so glad that you're here. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your journey, we welcome you. The mission of our congregation says we come together to deepen our lives and be a force for healing in the world. Towards this end, we acknowledge that UUSS exists on the occupied ancestral territory of the Nisenan, Southern Maidu, and Miwok peoples. We wish to pay our respects to their ancestors, elders, and relatives, and to affirm their sovereign right as First Peoples. Hey, Zoom people, if you want the order of service, just click on the link, and there actually is one this week. Last week, I messed up, but this week you have one, so click on the link in the chat to view the order of service. There are so many ways to connect with this vibrant community. Each week we have tables in the welcome hall where you can fill out a newcomer form and find out about everything that's going on. You can also do that online. Our blue sheet is sort of the, dare I say, Bible of what's happening in our congregation. And our weekly message also informs you about our activities. Today after the service, those of you present here are welcome to join us for coffee or tea, and it's a soup Sunday. So after the service, if you follow the signs, the line winds around behind the buffet there and through, and you can have a delicious bowl of soup for a free will donation. If you're new to us, the soup is on us. Enjoy. And today's soup is sponsored by Young Adults and Friends, which I assume means anybody who's not a young adult who agreed to bring soup. So there's a lot going on in this holiday season at UUSS. Look for an email this week that outlines all of our holiday events. One I want to highlight today is our annual tree trimming party this Friday night at 5 o'clock. It's going to be a great evening of food and crafts and fun, and I hear that Santa Claus, if he's available and can stop by, may be visiting us. Please bring a potluck dish to share, but if that's a deal breaker for you on a Friday night, just bring your wonderful self and your family and friends. There will be plenty to share. Finally, I want to tell you that registration is open for our women's retreat in the first weekend of February. 21 of the 40 slots have already been filled, so it's best to get your reservation in sooner rather than later. You can find a link on the website on the news feed on the right-hand side of the homepage. Please take a moment now to silence your cell phones or any devices that make noise so that we can all be present for the service. If you have a joy or a sorrow today, you can come forward and light a candle and fill out a card if you'd like me to share your joy or sorrow with the congregation during the prayer. Those of you on Zoom, please feel free to share your joys and sorrows with each other in the chat. And now it's time to introduce our special guests. The Sacramento Master Singers under the direction of Dr. Ralph Hughes. We're celebrating our 40th anniversary this year and have a fabulous set of concerts. If you want to hear the Master Singers in concert, will there be information in the welcome hall after the service about the concerts?
All of these singers would be glad to tell you about the 4 different venues that we'll be using this December.
So now, as we enter into our music for sharing, we're going to share with you the words of the song the Master Singers will be singing.
The song is Lux Aurumque. I'll be stating the Latin text that you'll hear them sing, and Lucy Bunch will tell you the English translation. Lux.
Light.
Calidae, gravisque pura velut aurum.
Warm and heavy as pure gold.
Et canunt angeli moliter modo natum.
And the angels sing softly to the newborn babe.
Good morning, and as we begin to light our chalice, I'd like to invite Rosella up to help Lucy light the chalice. Those on Zoom, gather your candles and your lighting instruments, and we will light them together. The words today are Our Lives Intersect and Intertwine by Tanya Marquez. Vines cross and intertwine themselves at a tree trunk. It is a wonder and a mystery that our paths have crossed, that in this immensity of time, in the vastness of space, we coincide here. I am in awe at the ways in which our lives intersect and intertwine, at the beauty we create when we gather. May our coming together make us more compassionate, more just, more caring, and more loving. May our hearts and minds be open to this offering. I am so glad you are here. Let us worship. Let us marvel at the miracle of being right here, right now, and the mystery that has brought us all together.
Anthony tried to kick you all out, but I have a story today. We'll get our story slide up in a second. This is a story for all ages, young and old, from one of my sacred texts, Frog and Toad, which is very important to me. This is from the book Frog and Toad All Year. And Frog and Toad is about friendship at its core, but Frog and Toad also know solitude really well. And so this is a story I wanted to share, and the story is called The Surprise. It was October. The leaves had fallen off the trees. They were lying on the ground. I will go to Toad's house, said Frog. I will rake all of the leaves that had fallen on his lawn. Toad will be surprised. So Frog took a rake out of the garden shed. Toad looked out of his window. These messy leaves have covered everything, said Toad. He took a rake out of the closet. I will run over to Frog's house. I will rake all of his leaves. Frog will be very pleased. Frog ran through the woods so that Toad would not see him. Toad ran through the high grass so that Frog would not see him. Frog came to Toad's house. He looked in the window. Good, said Frog. Toad is out. He will never know who raked his leaves. Toad got to Frog's house. He looked in the window. Good, said Toad. Frog is not home. He will never guess who raked his leaves. Frog worked hard. He raked the leaves into a pile. Soon, Toad's lawn was clean. Frog picked up his rake and started home. Toad pushed and pulled on the rake. He raked the leaves into a pile. Soon, there was not a single leaf in Frog's front yard. So Toad took his rake and started home. A wind came. It blew across the land. The pile of leaves that Frog had raked for Toad flew everywhere. The pile of leaves that Toad had raked for Frog flew everywhere. When Frog got home, he said, "Tomorrow, I will clean up the leaves that are all over my lawn." How surprised Toad must be. When Toad got home, he said, "Tomorrow I will get to work and rake all my own leaves." How surprised Frog must be. That night, Frog and Toad were both happy when they each turned out the light and went to bed. The end.
With friendship on the mind, I'd like to invite everyone involved in RE, both children and adults, to make their way out to continue your service as we lead you in your song. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other one. One foot, and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other one. One foot, and lead with love.
Let's all take a deep breath together and let it out with a sigh. Oh, one more. It is good to be together. Let us be present together in gratitude for our lives and all that makes our lives rich and good. And let us hold on to those challenges, sorrows, and difficulties that we carry in our hearts, whether they be in our own lives or in places and people around the world. We grow in resilience as we learn to live fully with both the joy and the despair, the challenges and the opportunities. This community can be a source of strength and resilience. So let us hear the words of celebration or sorrow from the members of our community. Karen is sharing that it's been 5 years since her friend's son died after being restrained by staff at his school. Max is missed by many, especially his family, and they are happy for the possibility of a bit of justice at the criminal trial in February. I'm sorry to report that our friend and longtime UU member Dick Taylor recently fell and fractured his hip, but he's had a successful surgery and is now recovering at the Kaiser Rehab Facility at Gramercy Court, where he's undergoing physical therapy prior to being an out-of-home placement. Dick can be reached at the facility, and if you'd like to send cards, this announcement will be in next week's weekly message, so you'll have the information about the address, or call the office. Shared with us this morning also is Terry, telling us that her spine surgery was almost 8 weeks ago, went very well, and she's recovering splendidly. Yay! And another Karen is celebrating the arrival of a great niece, Alba June, number 3 baby born the day before Thanksgiving. Let's hold all these joys and sorrows in our hearts, along with whatever you brought with you this morning. In the Christian tradition, today is the first day of Advent, a time of reflection and preparation for the coming of the Christ child. The first Sunday of Advent celebrates hope. So, in the spirit of hope and in the spirit of mystery, I offer you this prayer from the Reverend Dr. Rebecca Savage. Please join me in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of life, eternal mystery, receive the meditations on our hearts this day. We come into this space with the challenges and sorrows of our lives, wringing our thoughts. All that we have left undone, relationships that may be frayed or fraught, the pressures of life, work, and home hunching our spirits and bringing us down. Things, people, and places that are breaking our hearts. Beyond these walls, there is so much that is outside of our control. Let us leave it there for this moment. Beloved mystery, hold us close and whisper into our hearts that another world is possible. One beyond our imagination. A world that we are building together, one prayer at a time, one hopeful declaration at a time, one act of forgiveness and grace at a time, one extension of care and compassion at a time. We give over all these actions to you, sweet mystery, for we know not the impacts of our faithful practices, nor do we invest ourselves in them. May we embrace today the wisdom that love is enough, care is enough, patience and service are enough. The rest is mystery, and may that be enough. Guide us, hold us, and help us, Great Spirit, as we go forth to offer our gifts to this world. Blessed be, and amen. And now let's take a minute of silence for the prayers in your own hearts. Amen.
In our togetherness and our solitude, we feel the interconnectedness in that voice, still and small. Please join in singing number 391.
Still and small.
Antidotes to loneliness. Really, Rosemary? Whoa, that's a huge topic. I didn't know where to begin. Probably with my own loneliness. I searched the web and Pinterest, of course, and found there are many forms of loneliness. Thank goodness not all of them applied to me, but a few did. Functional, emotional, and situational, just to name a few. They know me so well. Oh dear. When I moved here in 2016, I did so after my partner of 25 years and I went our separate ways. I had been a consultant commuting from Los Angeles to Sacramento for 5.5 years as a consultant. I had an array of fabulous friends. So when I was offered a permanent job, I thought, heck yeah, I'm all over this. A new start, a new town. Let's do it. So I sold my house and moved here without glancing back. Wow. Did I say I sold my house? Yeah, thank you. What I didn't pay attention to was the fact my work friends were also consultants, which meant at the end of our project, they too would be going back to their distant home to find new work. Yep, you guessed it, I had a new start, a new town, and I didn't know a soul. Aw, that was sweet, thank you. So what did I do? I Googled. I wanted to look for people that had the same thoughts and desires that I did. And I wanted a spiritual home. So I Googled Unitarian, because I was one already. And I found this lovely home. Walking in that front door, I felt so at home and welcomed. So I marched right up to the second row and sat down and waited for the service to begin. A woman, very nice lady, came in the other end of the row, followed by a man, who I found out later was her husband, came up to me and said, "Is that seat being saved?" And my answer was, "Yes, it's for you." The next Sunday came along, and the same couple came and sat next to me. Whoa, that's cool. A friendship was born. Those delightful people are Susan and Richard Carlson, and they are now not only are they my precious friends, but they are also part of my Sacramento family. After a few months of attending services and hanging around UUSS, I wanted to expand my circle of friends, so I applied to the program council to start a group called Saturday Stitchers. I found it to be a great way to expand my circle, but also to spend time doing things with people who enjoy doing the same hobbies I do. Now, after nearly 8 years, I have forged many lovely friendships here at UUSS. Battling loneliness is an ongoing fight for me. It takes all my courage to stomp down the fear of rejection and to be able to reach out. I don't know about you, but I failed Mind Reading 101 in high school. We have some others here. I have to be the one to reach out, to make the phone call, to send a text, or maybe even write a card or a letter to reignite a friendship. I'm the only one that knows I'm lonely. My mother always said you have to be a friend to have a friend. I know when I start one of my pity parties for one, I have to be the one to stop the whining and reach out. get out of my head, get out of my house, reach out for a new activity. I volunteer where I know I will find people to talk to and maybe even find a new friend or two. I make my own greeting cards and I mail them for birthdays and holidays, or maybe just because, to let my friend know that I'm thinking about them. And also, I believe that when they see my handwriting on a letter in their mailbox, they might even start thinking about me too. The upcoming holiday season can bring great joy and humbling loneliness. Don't allow that feeling of gloom to take the joy and light out of your heart. Join with me in making a few phone calls, volunteering for a cause that lights your fire, or maybe even write a holiday card. I know it makes me feel better, and I hope it does the same for you.
As the master singers come up to sing for us, I want to share with you the words of this beautiful E. E. Cummings poem, Little Tree. Little tree, little silent Christmas tree, you are so little. You are more like a flower. Who found you in the green forest, and were you very sorry to come away? See, I will comfort you because you smell so sweetly. I will kiss your cool bark and hug you safe and tight, just as your mother would. Only don't be afraid. Look, the spangles that sleep all the year in a dark box, dreaming of being taken out and allowed to shine. The balls, the chains, the fluffy threads. Put up your little arms and I will give them all for you to hold. Every finger shall have its ring, and there won't be a single place dark or unhappy. Then when you're quite dressed, you'll stand in the window for everyone to see, and how they'll stare. Oh, but you'll be very proud. And my little sister and I will take hands, and looking up at our beautiful tree, we'll dance, we'll sing, Noel, Noel.
Thank you, Master Choir. Our congregation's mission states, we come together to deepen our lives and be a force for healing in the world. We live out that mission in many ways, including by practice of generosity. We give half of every Sunday's offering to a local organization working to heal the world. Our community partner this month is the wonderful Loaves and Fishes. 2023 marks the 40th anniversary of providing homeless survival services by Loaves and Fishes. In 1983, the founders, Chris and Dan Delaney, opened a small dining room to feed the hungry. Chris states, when we started this, Dan and I didn't know it would grow, but people came to help and the guests were always fed. It was a miracle every day. Loaves and Fishes offers compassion for the poor and the disadvantaged. Through their practices, they give respect and love for all who come for assistance. They are 100% funded by local support. They receive no government funding. On the slide and in the chat on Zoom, you can see how you can contribute electronically or by mailing a check to UUSS, or you can text it from your seat. Please give generously in support of this important organization. Thank you for your generosity. The offertory will now be given and received. Hello. As the ushers come forward, please join me in blessing these gifts by repeating our words of intention. May generosity bless our world. May gratitude nourish our spirits.
Got to hide behind that choir for so long. I never get to do that. The thing is, I've always liked my alone time. As a kid, I fell super in love with reading, which isn't surprising given that both my parents are librarians. Both of them. But books could take me anywhere I really wanted to go. So as a young person, I would sit on the couch in my family's living room, and I would read for hours. My younger brother would race around the room in circles, and I would sit there entranced by the stories and completely able to tune out the world around me. Our personalities have converged a little since then, but we were really different. And I would emerge back into the shared world hours later, in a daze. And this love of solitude and ability to feel comfortable in my own space has served me really well, mostly. And although I spent a lot of time in my own world, I didn't feel lonely as a kid. But as I grew up, I did begin to get tastes of loneliness, as I think all of us do. 5th grade felt different than 4th grade, and my closest friend at school chose a different friend to talk to during recess. And by 7th grade, I would sometimes read books during breaks instead of talking to the other kids at school. The practice of solitude, which for so long had been a way to retreat comfortably into my own space, had become a way to cope with this new feeling of being alone, of being a little bit lonely. Loneliness is an emotion which comes about when there's a gap between the level of connectedness that you want and the level of connectedness that you have. But as I read about this, it became clear that people don't agree on how to fix loneliness. It's really complicated, as most emotions ultimately are. We can feel lonely in a room full of people who know us, or we can feel perfectly content in our solitude. And the reasons around this aren't clear, they're situational, and the solutions are as complex as the emotional experience is. But really, loneliness is a huge problem in our world. In the US, public health experts have started to consider loneliness a public health crisis, not only because of the emotional suffering associated with persistent loneliness, but because of the adverse health consequences associated with isolation. This year, a study showed that more than 1/5 of American adults reported feeling lonely often or always. The 19th Surgeon General of the United States, Dr. Vivek Murthy, wrote a book about loneliness, which he called Together. In it, he argues that loneliness is fundamental to the division and polarization in the US. And he argues for more funding for things that bring us together, things like public parks, libraries, public transportation, and community centers. But our world and our lives as adults aren't really set up for connection. Our jobs can be isolating, taking us away from time with our families or our communities. Or a change in our lives can disrupt our routines and connections that we didn't notice were providing so much to us. Sometimes our family structures might not serve us, or the faith communities that we were raised in are no longer a home. As much as these are each personal stories, they're also part of a larger structure that persistently pushes us apart. And so, loneliness is a symptom of the way our world works. An overemphasis on achievement and work, and an undervaluing of connection and interdependence. And once we are lonely, our brains become increasingly distrustful. A feeling of isolation can make us separate ourselves further and perceive invitations as threats. Ooh, you noticed I might be feeling lonely. I'm going to put up a wall. And because loneliness is fundamentally an emotion, the way out of it can't be to ignore it or pretend that it's not a real problem, but it could be to notice the emotion and move through it through relationships of trust. And so for me, friendship is a practice which is an antidote to loneliness, and not just in the obvious self-evident way, which is that if we have more friends, we might be less likely to feel alone. It's radical to choose to nurture bonds of friendship, particularly as an adult. We can learn a lot from our young people and the advice we give them. When children come home from school, these are the kinds of questions we ask them. Did you have fun? Did you learn anything new? Did you make any new friends? Are our needs so different as adults? And many of us have grown out of practice with these things, having fun, learning things, making new friends, all ways we reach out to one another. I was lucky to get a new start on this friendship thing in high school. I entered a new school system, and I joined the notoriously nerdy and welcoming marching and concert bands. Thank you. I was very bad at playing the clarinet, but I was very good at talking about books. And so I met a bunch of new people before the first week of school. And these people were curious about me rather than judgmental. And I made a small leap of faith to trust them in that, which wasn't particularly easy. And I soon found myself not bringing a book to school to read during lunch. In fact, I talked with my new friends about the books I had spent my time reading during middle school. And it felt like a small miracle to have friends again at school. It was novel. And now in my own life, maintaining my friendships is life-sustaining. I've moved across the country a lot in my 20s, and I'm lucky to receive unconditional love and support from my family, but my friends and I persistently choose to be in one another's lives, and we actively communicate that to one another. They aren't friendships of convenience. My two best friends are married and live in Boston. They're not married to each other, they're each married. And so I tell my friends I love them on the phone. I text my friends inane stories about my day. My friends and I write each other cards. We make insane plans to live near one another. We imagine our lives as intertwined in the ways that usually only families and people in romantic relationships do. And it is magical to know one another in this way over years, and to still be making new friendships and new connections, and to share our lives intentionally. We try to trust and forgive each other, and to know that we can reach out again and again after days, weeks, months, or even years. My Unitarian Universalist values remind me that mutuality and interdependence make us stronger, not weaker. When the part of me that tells me not to reach out this time is louder than usual, I picture myself as a small speck in our interdependent web. Not an insignificant speck, but held gently and able to hold my loved ones and community as well. And each one of us has this capacity and deserves that love to be sent right back. And so when this reaching out feels especially hard, I think of friendship as a spiritual practice and commitment. I used to think that spiritual practices had to be silent, somber, solo activities, preferably done early in the morning or every day. And now I know them to be the ways I connect to the divine within each of us on the day-to-day, and I try hard not to take them or myself so seriously. And so, when solitude and books do not serve me, when I feel lonely and uncertain, I remind myself I can connect to the divine by calling a friend who will bring a spark of lightness into my day. By trusting in the radical and transformative power of mutual trust and care. Dinah Maria Moloch-Crack writes this about friendship. Oh, the comfort, the inexpressible comfort of feeling safe with a person, having neither to weigh thoughts nor measure words, but pouring them all right out, just as they are, chaff and grain together, certain that a faithful hand will take and sift them. Keep what is worth keeping, and then, with the breath of kindness, blow the rest away.
For our closing hymn, we'd like to invite everyone to learn in response 1023, Building Bridges. So we will sing a phrase, have you echo it, then we'll sing it all together, and then we will sing it in round with Rosemary leading half of the congregation and the rest of the congregation being led by me. So, in response to what we have here, we have building bridges between our divisions. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions. With all of our voices and all of our visions. Friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Trying that all together. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
Let's stand up, though. Yeah, great. Okay, you're with me. We've got this. Building bridges between our divisions. If I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions. If I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With
Good job. As we extinguish our chalice, please join me in speaking our shared intention. Any minute now, the shared intention will show up. There it is. We extinguish this flame, but we carry the light, love, and commitment of this gathering into the days to come.
As we reach out, go in peace, go in love, go and be blessed as you are a blessing. Amen.